quiet quitting, the viral TikTok trend that has gotten millions of views, has been defined as doing the bare minimum at work in an effort to find better work-life balance. Its proponents say it's just doing what you're getting paid for. Critics say this is a recipe for disaster for workers who could stunt their own professional development. Joining us this morning, Jason Wachtel, staffing expert of local executive search firm J.W. Michaels and Company. We're going to talk a little bit more about this quiet quitting trend. Jason, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
So, why do you think this? And I guess first question: did I define that right? Quiet quitting. It's doing the bare minimum.
Absolutely perfect.
Okay, so why do you think that's resonating with people at this point?
You know, I think what happened is when COVID hit in March 2020, everybody was just so lucky to have a job. And they would wake up early, they'd work late, they would show their boss they were logging online because they were just lucky to have a job. And through this time we've dealt with COVID, it shifted from an employer-driven market to an employee-driven market. And then when you throw the fact that we have a hybrid schedule, people are working from home more than they were previously. And so there's a lot more flexibility than they had previously, a lot less space time. And going back, with employees being in such demand, they feel like they have the upper hand on their employers.
Interesting. What about the age with respect to quiet quitting? Is this younger generations? Does it discriminate at all in that sense?
No, you know, I don't think so. I think what we've seen at J.W. Michaels is if your employees are not engaged, you're going to see quiet quitting for your college entrants, people who just graduated college, your people that have been there for 4 or 5 years, or even your managers that have been with you for 10 or 15 years. If you haven't provided an environment where people are excited to come to work, that they think you listen to them during this crisis that we all gone through, then you're going to see people saying, okay, I have a job, the labor market is extremely tight, I'm going to do the bare minimum I can because it's clear that my employer hasn't really invested in me and listened to our consumers.
You know, I've always heard when it comes to a workforce, there's, you know, the people at the top, they go above and beyond. There's the people at the bottom that maybe this is the quiet quitting, and then there's like this group in the middle. They do exactly what they've been asked to do, what they've been paid to do. I guess how would a boss or an employer or a manager know the difference between that bare minimum versus, I guess, what's adequate, what's fine? Where's that line?
You know, it's a really good point. I think it depends upon the owner, the manager. If a manager or owner is really in touch with their business and their employees, they should get a sense that their employees are doing the bare minimum. Whether it's you send an email, it takes some people hours to get back, where previously it would take 10 or 15 minutes. You know, if people are logging off at 5 o'clock instead of before they were pushing to 6:30 or 7, there's a lot of tail signs that make it very obvious if someone's going above and beyond or versus the minimum they can do. And when somebody does the minimum they can do, it should not only does it hurt the employer, it hurts the employee for their future, you know, employment and growth.
That's a good point. So let's go to that side of things then, from the worker side. Maybe they're feeling unfulfilled or whatever the reason is. If they're feeling like they want to quiet quit, or maybe they already are, what advice do you give someone who's in that position?
Well, it's tough because, you know, first off, it's always, we all really want a job to make sure we can pay our bills and support our families. But if you're at the point, whether you're a year or two in your career or you're 6 years or 16 years into it, doing the bare minimum doesn't help your career grow. So if you're in that position where you are quiet quitting, where you're really not motivated, you're not really growing, then that would be a sign that it's time for you to move on and find a new job. So if you're in a position where you really don't have the passion for what you're doing, well, then I think it's a sign that you really need to start looking for new employment and find that opportunity that shows a career growth that compensates you the way you want to be compensated, but also allows you to grow in the future, because being stagnant at the workplace is probably one of the worst things you can do for your future.
Yeah, no kidding. Really, at any age, I think nobody wants to be unfulfilled to that degree where they think quietly quitting is the answer. Jason, how can the folks get in touch with you?
Great. Well, our email address, J.W. Michaels, is www.jwmichaels.com. We have contact information on the website, and we're happy to help and guide employers or employees during what it really is an amazing time for candidates to look for new employment.
Yeah, it's you know, anytime we go through these transitions, I tend to be a little bit optimistic, I guess, as there's probably a lot of opportunities out there, many that people probably haven't even thought of yet, which is another great reason why folks like you being out there is helpful. Jason, thanks for your time today. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure, and thank you for having me.
All right, Jason Wachtel, staffing expert with J.W. Michaels and Company. And good luck to all the workers out there.